my name is Tom Ace, and welcome to the first ever episode of Stealing from the Past. Guys, the title is... Anyways, as I was saying, in this new TV program, what we will be doing is we will be taking an historical figure from the past and we will be bringing him to the future for a very short interview of around 6 to 7 minutes. Hopefully. Today, we will be interviewing the man with the plan for everything. He was part of the French Revolution. He helped in the American Revolution. Seems everywhere he goes, there's a revolution. His name is... Can you make the audio cue a bit? I can't read that. Can you make... Marquis de Lafayette. Hello, Marquis. How are you? Hopefully, the time travel and teleportation didn't make you feel a bit queasy.
Hello, Tom. This is a very nice studio you have here. Wait. Is it called the studio? You told me something about it, I cannot remember.
So, today I'll be asking you some questions. Are you happy to oblige?
So, let's get started with the interview.
So, the first question I have for you today is, why did you directly disobey your king's orders to go to America, even though he said you shouldn't?
Well, it is simple. I thought I would be of more use in America, and plus I didn't really like the British at the time. Did I mention that?
Did I mention they didn't really like you?
Touché. Anyways, I took a couple of troops with me to help them out with a few battles, but then I realized they needed my help. So I went back to the king and I said, please can I have more help? And he sent me some more troops to help with the battles.
But why would he do that if he didn't want you to go in the first place?
He trusted me, and he thought that when the time came, the Americans would help us if we ever needed it. But while I was over there, I made very good friends with a man named George Washington.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No!
Oh my. Where did you find this idiot? I did not travel all the way into the future just to talk to this moron. Pick up your game.
Anyways, moving on.
Mary Joseph Paul Vess Roch Gilbert du Motier de Lafayette. But the Americans, they called me Marquis de Lafayette because they thought my first name was a bit too long.
So, a very popular question we've been asked is, what is your full name? Really? That's a bit rude, I think.
No. My parents called me Marquis when I was a young boy. The Americans called me Lafayette.
Oh, okay. Can you say your name one more time for the camera, please?
Mary Joseph Paul Vess Roch Gilbert de Motier de Lafayette.
So, Mary Joseph Paul Yevs Roch Gilbert de Lafayette?
Just forget it.
Is it okay if I call you Mark just instead? I mean, it'll make my life a whole lot easier.
No, you may not call me Mark. You will call me by my name, Marquis.
Oh, okay. Well, moving on with the interview. So, Marquis, after doing a little bit of research, I found out that you were one of the leaders in trying to stop the slave trade. May I ask how you managed to do this, and why?
In America, I was friends with George Washington. I convinced him and he seemed to be on board with it. And back in France, I knew the royal family very well and they were also on board with me. Everybody seemed to trust me. I don't know why.
Because I have to admit, there were quite a few slaves back then in America, and also in France, and many European countries. One of the questions the public has asked me to ask you Yes, that makes sense. Do you think you were put into the military commanding role in the French Revolution because of your great success in the American Revolution?
Well, I was told that the revolution in France was starting up, so I immediately dropped everything in America and went back to my home country. I proudly accepted the role to help, but unfortunately, as the Third Estate started to grow, I fled the country through fear.
You did very well in the American Revolution. Go America. But aside from that, that leads me into my next question. Where and why did you run away from France after the French Revolution?
Well, I ran away to Austria first. It was tough. Of course, I brought a few assistants and guards with me, but we all struggled very much. But then I realized that I had my friends in America, so I went to America until the French called me back to accept a military role again. But I died back in France, but I wanted a piece of dirt from Bunker Hill to be buried with me. That was my proudest moment.
Well, that's something you don't hear every day on national TV. People talking about their own deaths. I really need to come up with better jokes. But this is still information that no one has ever heard in this perspective. Now, one question, Mr. Lafayette. Did you have a wife and any kids?
Yes, I did. I had a beautiful wife. Her name was Adrienne de Lafayette. We were married for 34 years before she died. But luckily I had my son, George Washington de Lafayette, to help me through it. He was such a great help back then. Then teenage years happened.
Glad to hear it. So, did you name your son after George Washington, one of the founders of this country, this great nation which I've decided to live in?
Yes, that is right. I did name my son after George Washington. It was quite awkward when I introduced them to each other. Good times.
Yeah, that's quite funny. So, you've been in many battles, many wars, and you've fought many times. What was the worst injury you've ever had, if you had one?
Yes, I did. I actually got shot in my left thigh when we were in Brandywine. But George Washington, he sent down his best medics and doctors to help me, and 2 months later, I got back with my forces and we continued to fight. I felt quite honored when he did that. But apart from that, that was my only injury. Every other time I had my skills to help me get out of the fight so that I would never be in harm's way.
Now, this is new information to you, because it happened, a couple hundred years after your death. But you, Marquis de Lafayette, nailed it that time. You have been granted honorary citizenship into America. How does this make you feel? And when you came back from America, did the French king ever give you something like this?
When I returned to France, the king gave me many riches, and he also gave me a role as a consultant in the military so that I could help them out. He also gave me a role in the new government. It was such a big honor for me back then.
Well, at least you've been rewarded for the many things you've done for both countries. Oh, you hear that sound, everybody? That's the end of the interview. I'd like to give a very special thanks to Marie Joseph Paul Vess Gilbert de Motier de Lafayette. Hey, look, I kinda said it all right.
Thank you, it's been a great pleasure to be on your show.
And I'd like to give another special thanks to all you people out in the crowd. Yeah, that's it. I'd also like to give another special thanks to all the camera crew.
It was me.
Well, thanks for watching, and hopefully this series will continue if I don't get cancelled. I'll see you in the next episode of Stealing from the Past. Bye-bye!